I don't know what just happened. Anyway, Pierre, AI taking over Flagler Live. And the Observer, you won't even have to go into work, Brian. You get it all.
Yeah, we haven't really explored much related to AI. So if we ever do, then we'll make it very, very clear what is AI and what isn't. But I don't know. So far, we haven't done anything with it as far as content is concerned, for sure.
I'm irritated by AI, the emails that come out now, like, hey, David, was wondering if they call you by name, make it look so personalized and everything. And
Some
you get
carefully
those,
chosen
Teresa? Yeah.
bullet points that are cute emojis.
I know. Anyway, are you irritated by AI yet, or are you loving it, Teresa Pontieri?
I am not a techie, so it is kind of irritating. But if you know how to use some of its tools, it can be very useful and it can save a lot of time. And I'm an attorney, right? So we charge by the hour. So my clients appreciate when I can use AI to leverage the right way and lower their bills. So, if you know how to use it right, it can be a good thing. But I definitely see its downfalls.
Well, you probably have to change the way you bill, because it would be task-based rather than how much time. Because if you could do it in 5 minutes where it'd take you 2 hours, you're going to go out of business.
You're hired, David.
All right.
You can just serve that many more clients. I think that's
right.
what a lot of businesses struggle with. Like, how do you get enough manpower to take on? I mean, I talk to businesses sometimes and they don't want to advertise, in part because they're already really busy. Mm-hmm. So if they could, if they could do more, they would probably,
We have that issue. Yeah, it's a bandwidth issue.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Katie Leonard. Haven't seen you in a while, our supervisor of elections.
Well, good morning, David. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning.
It's like, wow, the election is not till over a year. Well, we do have a primary coming up in August. We'll talk about all that. But I thought it'd be good to bring you in to update us on what is the timeline. Teresa threw her name in the hat for county commission, take Greg Hansen's spot, who is not running for anything. And so that was quick, but it seems like the strategy is the quicker you can announce and get in there, you occupy people's brains then, rather than being third or fourth or fifth, kind of a positioning the battle for the mind type of thing. Is that why you decided and made your move quickly, Teresa?
No, I think Congressman Fine kind of made that decision for me a little bit quicker than I was ready. But that's okay. I understand why a lot of people do it. For me, it's a good way to start being able to get petitions signed and start passively raising money, because, my last campaign, it was kind of a fire drill. I did it in 7 or 8 months, and that was tough. It was an everyday, really hitting the pavement type thing. So if you can do it slow and treat it more like a marathon, I think that's better.
Okay. All right. So anyway, Katie, how many people right now are officially locally here?
Locally?
How many people have announced and are in it, and who are they?
Okay, so it's kind of early yet. Like Teresa said, a lot of people have a strategy, right? So they want to jump in the race early, have time to make some decisions. But right now for County Commission District 2, Teresa's it. So far filed.
Unopposed.
So far.
Teresa.
Knock on wood, guys. Come on. What are you doing to me over here?
County Commission District 4, we have the incumbent Leanne Pennington has filed. And then School Board District 4, the incumbent Christy Chong has filed. And then a challenger, Ron Long, has also filed. And then we have a couple candidates already for the City of Palm Coast races, District 2 and 3. So for 2, we have Antonio Amaral Jr., and then Jeannie White Moon Duarte. That's District 2. District 3, Ray Stevens has filed.
Wow. Okay. Back from, all right. Well, good for Ray. Glad he's feeling good. I sent him a text saying, man, I'm glad we thought you were long gone, but no, wait, he's back. So congratulations, Ray. Glad you're feeling.
He had a major scare, seems like. So yeah, it's good to hear that he's feels healthy enough to do that.
But like you say, this is early. I mean, how many other people are sitting out there thinking about it? And,
we usually have about 40 candidates every election cycle, so this is a bit early, but there'll be plenty.
Well, I like to see new names and like, well, who are they? Where do they come from? And kind of, isn't that part of the succession of a good community in the politics, Teresa, where people move to town and they bring experience from other, communities they were in maybe and have something to offer, and we welcome them.
Yeah, I think, whenever you have a diverse perspectives on a board, it's always a good thing. And we also have a lot of committees that people have been really interested in joining. We had so many applicants for the Charter Review Committee, which was really encouraging. We just made a couple appointments to our Citizens Advisory Committee. So just getting engaged that way for a lot of outer town, new people, new residents is a really good thing as well.
Okay, newcomers, they're welcome. Or people that have been sitting and watching and thinking, wow, if I was the mayor or I was on the commission, this is what I would do. So okay, well then get up off the couch and do it. We want to hear from you. Do we have, speaking of people announcing, good morning.
Good morning, David Ayers.
Hey, Paul Renner, congratulations on your announcement. You're running for governor for the state of Florida. Indeed,
yes.
So on the news, you said, you prayed about it. You talked to your family about how old are your kids now anyway?
5 and 3. So you think about their future, and I think about that a lot. And that was part of it, and a lot of prayer. My wife's support. She was there before I was, but here I am, and I'm ready to go.
So the arena is a lot bigger now because before you had the District 19 here and kind of like in your own backyard, your home area, and people knew you and kind of watched you. Now there's less awareness of Paul Renner in other parts of the state. Would you agree with that?
Sure. Yeah, that's true. But in the last 48 hours, I've been in Tampa, Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Miami, Broward. I'm now in, I think it's Martin County, on our way back up the state. And lots of great response from all corners since our announcement.
Okay. Well, of course, I got to bring up what you're not going to want is, what DeSantis said, ill-advised for what happened. I thought you guys were getting along good. You were rocking and rolling. All kinds of things were passing when you were the House Speaker. And then did something go wrong, or why a different attitude from the governor, I guess?
Well, you can't tell the story of the legacy of Governor DeSantis without telling the story of the 2 years when I was presiding officer in the House. It was considered the most conservative and transformational 2 years, really, I think, in Florida history. And I had a lot of great men and women in the House and Senate where I'll give credit for getting that done. I happen to have the privilege of leading them. And so in the end, the governor will come around and support me because I'm the logical person to follow him. And so I'm not worried about that at all.
All right. Okay. Well, I mean, if anything, I look at it like it draws attention to you, which is, good. Because if he goes, well, I wouldn't, whatever, and be like, Paul Renner, I've heard that name before. He's, oh, yeah, there he is. So in a way, it could be helping you.
Sure. No, listen. Hey, and the bottom line is this race is going to come down to three things. People want to know, who can I trust? They want to know who's got the leadership experience to sit in the seat of governor of the third largest state in the country, and one that all other Republican states really follow as the gold standard, and who's going to deliver results. And so you look at my record from the time I was in my 20s. I was serving on active duty during the first of two wars I served in, for 20 years in the military, as a state prosecutor, going after violent criminals, defending victims, and then as a legislator, and most recently as Speaker of the Florida House, again during one of the most consequential and conservative legislative sessions in memory.
A couple of things that you do take a lot of credit for. You had a lot, of course, was education, and in changing it really kind of upended it in a lot of ways with the school voucher system. And some people are loving it and thinking it's great. Other people don't. What's your take on it? Since you kind of threw it out there and people are doing it, would you do it again, or would you modify it?
No, I mean, I would expand it. I mean, those are one of the things people said couldn't get done. There was an article in Flagler Live said we lost 2,000 students all because of the scholarship. We ran the numbers, it was 128 students. So there's a lot of reasons why people are leaving public schools. But what this does is it introduces competition, and it wasn't new. Jeb Bush started it way back when. We just made it completely universal, so every parent, every child can choose the school that best fits their needs. That's what we do in every other part of life. We go into a Chevy dealer, we don't like what we see, we go to Ford. Aren't our children more important than that? And so our children should have that empowerment with their parents to go and get the education that suits them, whether that's a homeschool kid, a private school kid, a kid in a micro school, a charter school, or a public school. And we did great things for our public schools and raising teacher salaries while I was speaker and investing in our public schools. And so we'll do that. I'm not a us versus them. We want every child to receive the best education wherever that is. I grew up in public schools. My mom was a public school teacher. And so I'm all for our public schools. They've got to be the best.
Brian, you have kids in school. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I do. And they're all in public school. And I think I'm a big fan of Flagler schools. And that's what's right for our family. I love the idea of competition. I totally see why that's so appealing to a lot of people. But I guess my question is, I think that there's also some motivation from a lot of state leaders, including you, to say, like, we want Florida kids to have the best possible education. And there's a lot of testing that goes in to see if that's accurate or not, to see are we giving them the best education. So what I always keep coming back to, if we do want freedom of choice, that's a good thing to pursue. But if 5 or 10 years down the road, a lot of kids are choosing something other than public school and they're not taking the same tests, how do we know if that's really what was best for the kids' education themselves, other than they did get to choose it, which has some merits by itself?
Well, they do have to take a test, and that includes the kids that are homeschooled, which is a new phase of school choice. If they want to receive those funds, they have to take a test. And so we can compare, and what the latest data I've seen is from Step Up for students is kids that are on the scholarship compared to their peers are more likely to go to college and more likely to graduate from college. So the results are already in, and that's true for charter schools. On a number of fronts, we see excellence based on that competition. And look, if you don't like where you are and you go over to a private school or something, you can always go back to a public school, and that can happen too. The great thing about universal choice too is you can have a homeschool kid that goes to a traditional public school, physics class, chemistry class, where they have the equipment already in place, and that public school can reap that money from a kid that was never in the public school to begin with. Or if they have capacity, they can have a micro school. A public school teacher can start her own micro school with 8 or 10 kids and have a classroom in a public school that may have some capacity. So this is, again, open to all. It's about innovation, competition. It's about also respecting our values. So if I was a COVID parent and I watched some things online that I didn't like about what was being taught, I can go to a place that respects my values. Go to a Christian school or a Jewish school or whatever is best for me and my family and my child. And so this is really about freedom. It's about empowerment. It's why we're the #1 state for educational freedom. But those aren't the only issues. We've got issues of the high cost of living and affordability that we can talk about as well.
What about, let's talk while we're on kids and families and this whole new thing of the beacon of medical freedom in Florida with making it where there's no more mandate for vaccines. To me, that just seems kind of crazy where, you send your kid into a classroom and they've been vaccinated and all these other kids haven't been, from measles and a whole bunch of other things. Is that, what's your take on Florida becoming the beacon of medical freedom?
Well, this particular issue is not something the governor has brought up in the 7 years he's been in office, but he did this week. I've had some conversations to try to get, as I always want to hit the right place in policy. Here's what I'll say. We always want to have safe and effective vaccines like polio. We don't want polio coming back or things of that nature. At the same time, I've been a stalwart defender of parental rights. And during my time as speaker, we passed bills that protected people that maybe don't want to have a COVID shot from being fired or not hired simply because of that by their employer, and protected parental rights throughout. And so I don't want parents to take a vaccine that they think is dangerous for their children. My kids are not going to take a COVID shot unless and until or ever, probably, but unless I know that it's safe for them. And so in the same respect, the other thing that I've learned is, when I was young, David, you and I, when we were young, we took 10 or 12 shots. Now it's just proliferated to the point where you've got dozens of these shots. And so there's an open question that I think we ought to always be open to researching is that too many? And is it too young? Because a lot of these shots are being done when a baby's delivered. The parents aren't being asked about it. And so there is an open question from people that I trust about that issue. And so we need to be open-minded about it. I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And what I want to hear from our leaders, too, is that while we want to look at risks of vaccines, whether we're doing too many too soon, that type of thing. I don't want us to get to a point where we're saying things like a polio shot are unimportant, because I know those are important. We don't want that coming back in our country. And I saw in Mexico there was an outbreak of measles and some other deadly disease. We don't want that in our country. And so it's a balance. We want to respect parents. We also want to protect other parents who say, I don't want my kid going with a bunch of unvaccinated kids and maybe getting a deadly disease.
Endorsements. How important are endorsements? Seems like Trump, obviously throws a lot of weight for people to do. Is that because Byron Donalds, he's the one that said, okay, that's who I want for governor of Florida. Was that premature? What's your relationship with Donald Trump? Why not say he wants Paul Renner?
Well, yeah, I mean, and look, I love the president. I love the governor. I mean, we're blessed where we are right now, and so I'm pro president, pro governor. But look, he did make that endorsement back, I think, before Congressman Donalds got in the race. At the end of the day, people will look at that. But what I think they're really asking is, who do I trust? Who has the leadership background to sit as governor of the state of Florida, and who's delivered results? And so, on that front, 20 years in the military, state prosecutor, successful Speaker of the House. And I would just point people to, at the end of the day, they're going to want somebody who's going to stand on their own. People want a leader, not a proxy, and stand on their own and deliver results. And so take insurance, double-digit increases. I mean, the market is collapsing as I'm coming in as Speaker. We took on litigation abuse, and we also held insurers accountable. We focused on consumers, period. And as a result of that, we've seen at least a stabilization of homeowners. It's not there yet, but it's going in the right direction at least. And automobile insurance is actually going down. David, there's nothing going down in price anywhere in the country, including auto insurance. But in Florida, it's going down in some cases by 10 or 11%. And so that's positive. And I'm told that it will continue to be even more positive because of reforms that I led as Speaker, that people said, you're never going to beat the special interest. We've tried it. The trial lawyers are too strong. The insurers are going to fight you over here. We did the right thing by consumers to protect them, so insurers do the right things, and lawyers don't have 100,000 garbage lawsuits that are driving up all of our costs, and that's what was happening.
Okay. DeSantis, he said that he wanted to eliminate property taxes in Florida. You say, no, not really, but you want to reduce property taxes. But doesn't the burden just shift to the local governments then? What's your plan? What would the effect be? How would you go about it, I guess, is the real question.
Yeah, here's where I agree with the governor. He's right to be on it, and I agree that we need substantial relief. And what that looks like depends on what will get us to 60% of the vote. Because remember, this has to be a constitutional change. And so 60% of voters, which includes independents, includes Democrats, we're not that Republican, have to say, we want this. And so what's happened in the past, because I've been part of trying to put a little $25,000 homestead exemption on the ballot, the Democrat Party comes out against it, and they will this time. The League of Cities will come out against it, and they will this time. And so what you need, and I think this governor will campaign hard on it, you got to raise money, you got to have leadership that's out there, educating people. But if we're going to completely eliminate property taxes, and the local governments are going to rush to replace it with something. And so what I don't want to see is we take one problem and fix it and only create another one where we have 10 taxes and fees that get them the same amount of money that they were charging before. Well, we haven't solved the problem. And so I want to see limitations, and I'm the first one to call for this, no one else has, is a 2/3 requirement, like we have at the state level, on local government to pass a tax or fee, an existing tax or fee or a new tax or fee. And then on top of that, I want the taxpayers, the voters that are listening today, to have a chance at the next election to say, no, we don't want it, basically to void out that tax increase. Because, look, people are struggling. When we struggle and when prices go up, we can't just say to our employer, hey, I need more money. But that's exactly what local governments do. And so they need to do less and they need to take less so we can have more, because people are suffering with the cost of living. And so you have to have those guardrails around local government to make this work. But I want substantial property tax relief. I also want to look at things for the seniors who are in their homes for many, many years. They're on a tight nest egg, and they can't afford even the 3% increase every year. In a decade, that's 30% increase in their property taxes. So I think there's a point where I want to say to those who have retired to live, after a life well lived in Florida, and they've been here for some lengthy period of time, we're not going to let you get kicked out of your home, because that's happening. And so maybe we just take a pause at a certain age and say, at this point, no more increases. Again, I haven't heard anybody else call for that, but that's going to be part of a plan we'll roll out here in the near future.
All right. Well, I got Teresa Pontieri, Vice Mayor, sitting here listening to you, Paul. And I would like your opinion and your comments on what you just heard about how that would affect local tax base.
Sure. And good morning, Mr. Renner. Good to have you this morning. And excited to hear about your announcement as well. So, every year that I've been on the council, we have lowered the property tax millage rate. So I'm a big believer in property taxes being very low. I'm also, though, a believer in consumers having the ability to decide what they will pay in taxes. So having consumer-based related taxes rather than property taxes. If you own your property, I'm a big believer that your property taxes should be as low as possible. We at the local level have the duty to provide public safety, to provide for infrastructure, to provide for water, those very necessary things for our residents. And all of that costs money. And the problem is the costs of construction have gone up. We've seen the cost of building roads has been over a 200% increase since COVID. So, and as the cost of living goes up, we have to pay our police officers more. We have to pay our teachers more. We have to pay our firefighters more. We have to pay the guys who, fix the potholes more, because they have to be able to afford to live in our city, and they should be able to afford to live in our city. So while I agree that we should have, we should be very fiscally conservative and be very mindful of the taxpayer dollar, we still have to make sure that we're not undercutting our local governments and the ability to provide these necessary things for our community and for the future of our community. And one of the issues that I'm seeing at the state level, and then I think I know our state representatives are working on, is local rule. Local rule is being overrun right now by the state legislator. We've seen that out of Senate Bill 180. We've seen that out of largely Live Local. And we've seen that with regards to the restrictions on impact fees. So we see a lot of growth. We see a lot of new people coming in. But then our local governments are strapped with an inability to pay for what that is costing our residents. We have a lot of needs in this community. We had to dip into our general fund over $2 million to pay for Fire Station 22. We need that fire station. We did not have enough impact fees to pay for it. So that's something that, I really hope the state looks at, our representatives look at when we're looking at lowering property taxes, when we're looking at, hey, we want to keep costs low. We're with you, Mr. Renner. We've worked really hard in our city to what I call, we're balling on a budget. And I think we do a great job. We were able to increase our deputies, 9 deputies this year and last year. We were able to open 2 new fire stations. They're in the process of that right now. We were able to, repave 28 roads last year with $1 million using different ways to get that done. So we're being resourceful and we're being very mindful of the taxpayer dollar. But I just really hope that as we're on the state level looking at ways to lower costs, that we just keep in mind that there are necessary things that the local government has to provide for its residents, and all of that costs money. So while the cost of living is going up for our voters, the cost of operating a city and a county is going up too.
Comments, Paul Renner, on what she just said?
Yeah, and so I would echo to the extent that what the councilwoman said is why you've got to have a balance. You can I believe, and what you should do is substantially reduce property taxes while not, bringing. Do we want 12% sales tax? I don't want that. Do we want a whole dozen taxes and fees from local government that just make up the difference? Well, that doesn't solve the problem. And so I think there's a place, and we also have to look, to her point, at cities and counties. I want to make sure we do the right policy. And sometimes the right policy is not an applause line, but you've got to find a place where I don't want to punish, conservative government, local government that have done the right thing for 10 or 20 years, while, you've got counties like Alachua County or Broward County. They spend every dollar they get. Every dollar they get, they have no desire to do anything for taxpayers or ever roll back taxes. And so I want to make sure we come up with a policy that also respects the fact, doesn't hurt the people that have done the right thing at the local level. But, those that have just spent like drunken sailors, they need to get rolled back. And so we'll have to put together something at the end of the day that gets 60%. And voters ultimately, when they look at this in full, are going to have something they say, okay, this is fair. Our cops are still going to come when we call them. The garbage is still going to get picked up. It's good relief, but it's not so bad that we're going to have a termination of services, or we have to worry about what's gonna happen to our local government, our roads and bridges, and that type of thing. So there's a way to do it, a right way to do it. It's got to balance all of that, and you got to get to 60%. And so I'm committed to leading that effort as governor.
Okay, Brian McMillan.
I wonder if it would help with transparency, like on the local level, if like a lot of these things that we're talking about do come out of the general fund, like the public safety and some of the roads. Sometimes there's state funds, but I wonder if it would help to identify what, like, this is the fire millage, that is the police millage, so that way, people know that, like, that's how it's being spent. Because I think a lot of it is like there's a sense that I think a lot of people have that there is a lot of waste in government, but that's a very broad stroke, and some cities might be doing a great job and some might not. And so, like, I think while the whole idea of Doge has been so political, a lot of people would probably feel reassured if there's like, hey, let's look at this city. How is their millage lining up with things? And so I wonder what's your take on, like, the future of Doge in Florida.
Well, we need to keep it up. Look, I eliminated Enterprise Florida, which was paying out-of-state companies to come to Florida, tens of millions of taxpayer dollars. That's a waste of money, and so we ended it. And I will go after bureaucracies that don't work and get the fat out, including at the state level. It's not just a local issue; it's also state. We can always do better, and we'll do that to make sure we're squeezing as many dollars as possible. That's what every family and business does. They have to do more with less. We don't have unlimited resources, and government shouldn't just spend as much as they want to spend on every good idea that somebody has. It shouldn't result in a taxpayer-funded program. And so we have to have cops that show up. We have to have firefighters that show up. We have to have our garbage picked up at the local level, roads. There's some core functions of government we all agree on. That has to be done, and people have to have necessary revenues to do that. And so put that aside. Beyond that, though, and I mentioned Broward County, not to pick on them, but I was just there. It's government gone wild, and these guys spend money on every idea that comes out of anybody's head, and it's a total waste of taxpayer money. They have too many bureaucrats in there, and that can absolutely be cut back. And that's taking money out of the hands of people who are struggling right now, and I'm committed on the issue of cost of living to deliver on that, whether it's tax relief, whether it's on insurance, property tax reform, and other areas.
I have just one quick question, then we'll let you go. I know you've got other media.
I do. Yeah, I got to jump in about 2 minutes.
All right, so here we go. Give us a visionary thing on Paul Renner. Looking ahead, for your kids' life and everything, 5-10 years down the road, what does Florida really need that if you're the governor, you have a good chance of making it happen?
Well, we want to make Florida affordable again. We want to make sure we are investing in our infrastructure, whether it's our roads, bridges, because we're a growing state. But as a growing state, it puts pressure on our environment. I'm a believer in the wildlife corridor and land conservation. I will never commercially develop our state parks. I want to make sure there's a lot of natural space, whether it's our beaches, we can fish and eat the fish we catch. That's very important to me as well. Education will continue to reform, improve our public schools, all of our schools for a world-class education, reform higher education. There's still a lot of woke folks in there that want to spend more time indoctrinating than educating. We'll stop that. I've done that repeatedly as speaker. I'll do it again as governor.
All right, very good. I know you got to go. Paul Renner, thank you for your service to our country, our state, and best of luck on the campaign.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
Thanks, Paul.
All right, will do. All right, we're going to take a break. We will be back. Vice Mayor Teresa Pontieri in the studio. And also, Katie Lenhart, where have you been? Our supervisor of elections, it's all heating up. Brian McMillan, me, you, whatever. We'll be right back. Oh, somebody texted saying, why don't you give your text number out? How did he do that if he doesn't have the text number? Anyway, here it is. It's 386-259-0879. Text in a question or comment. We'll do my best to see it and get it on the air. 259-0879.
I'm ready.
You're
Do-it-yourself website isn't cutting it, champ. ComcoastWebsites.com builds you a pro site in 14 days or less. Guaranteed. Don't love it? Don't pay. ComcoastWebsites.com, because your website shouldn't look like it was built on dial-up. ComcoastWebsites.com.
Tired of waiting for your home to sell? Evolve Property Group is not your average real estate company, specializing in property management and real estate investors, navigating complex sales transactions, maximizing cash flow, managing tenants, rent collection, even evictions. Visit evolvepg.co. evolvepg.co.
Don't even think about climbing that ladder.
We got a guy that'll do it for you.
If you're going to do it right with Benjamin Moore.
We've got the professional painters and the best paint.
Benjamin Moore, corner of Old Kings and Utility Drive.
Home Coast.
Hi, this is John Phillips.
And I'm Kelsey Lombard. We're your hosts of the Chamber Business Report.
Every week, we'll meet local successful business people.
And we'll discuss important topics impacting you and Flagler County.
The Chamber Business Report, brought to you by
Smart Technologies. We make business simple.
Fine Construction.
Intracoastal Bank. Patson Green.
The Chamber Business Report on the Flagler Radio YouTube channel.
And Saturday morning at 10 on WNZF.
Flagler County High School football live this Friday night at 7 on WNZF Radio. This Friday, it's the FPC Bulldogs taking on the Mainland Buccaneers. It's all brought to you by Arctic Breeze, Blinds by Jason, Cash It In Jewelry and Pawn, Flagler Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, J&J Auto Body, Basileros Wagner, The Lawyer Dude, Palm Coast Acupuncture and Chiropractic. Catch all the play-by-play action live with Rich Carroll and Mike Licio on 94.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the Flagler Radio mobile app.
Friday Night Lights, tonight live on WNZF. It's an away game. Our broadcast crew goes down to Mainland High School. And if you can't get down there, listen to it on 94.9 FM, WNZF. They do a great job in play-by-play. And even if it's a whole game, you should take the radio and put your earbuds in. It makes it so much more exciting. You know, in going to games and here's my thing now with concerts and football games. I'm not going to buy a ticket if I have to watch it on the TV at the venue. All right, we went all the way out to Red Rocks to see OAR. It was like an awesome experience and everything. And I'm watching the TV screen the whole time after $200 a ticket, and it's like then you look at the stage and you can barely see the people. So from now on, if I can't get close enough to watch it, just like a football game, you're watching it on the. You agree with that, Teresa?
Well, yeah. So I like to go to the college games because of the college experience and atmosphere. I'm a huge UCF fan, an alumni, and just being there in the stadium is awesome. And they don't have the ability to watch things on the screen. So for me, I don't really go to pro sports. I still like to go to baseball games, but the other pro sports just they're not really attractive to me. But the college experience in person is by far the best.
Oh, you could have fun without even watching the game.
100%.
Okay. There you go. I'm with you on that. Okay, I would agree with that. All right, let's see. Oh, Katie Lenhart, let's talk about the elections here real quick. And then, Teresa, I wanted to talk to you about some comments you made at the last city council meeting, which I thought was pretty interesting. And workforce development. I want to touch on that because that is a real critical thing with economic development that people don't really think about. All right, so elections, right? This is 2025. No elections this year, right, Katie?
I think we're done this year. We had quite a few elections earlier in the year. Yeah, the first half of the year was pretty much, I don't know, we didn't get a lot done except for a bunch of elections. We had some plans and all of a sudden special elections. So, the next election coming up, actually we have city elections in March for Flagler Beach and Beverly Beach and Bunnell. They all have some seats up for election, so that's in March.
All right, let's be specific. All right, who's up for? I'll catch you off guard, but I don't know. So go ahead. No, it's all good.
So in Beverly Beach, we have 2 town commissioners. So, I mean, that's a really small town. They have about 500 people, maybe less. But they usually have unopposed. Like their elections are unopposed, so they haven't had an election in a couple of years.
And are there 5 seats on Beverly Beach?
Right, they have a mayor and
so 1% of the town is an elected official.
Right.
Well, it's more than that in Marineland. Yeah. It's like 100%. Okay, not counting the Dolphins. Yeah, okay.
That's true. And we don't do Marineland's elections, just to be clear.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Why not? Why is
why
that?
Not? They've never contracted with the elections office since the beginning of the town, since it was chartered in the 50s. So I don't know.
Huh.
That's interesting. All right. Okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
So
what else
Bunnell, also City of Bunnell, they're going to have 2 city commissioners up for election. So that'll be a big election there in the city.
Who are they?
Who are they? Yeah. Let's name people here.
I don't have the names in front of me. Okay. Good pop quiz though. I should have everybody memorized that's ever up for election ever. So thank you.
Okay.
All right. City of Flagler Beach will have 2 city commissioners up. And so all those elections will take place in March. And then our next big election countywide will be the primary. And I want to talk about the primary really quick because we have a lot of folks who move here from states that are open primaries. So they come in, they register, or they get their driver's license and they think, they can pick no party or be independent, quote unquote, which is really a misnomer in Florida because there is no such thing, really. I mean, there's an independent party in Florida, but you don't get to pick. So when you go to vote in the primary, y'all need to remember that you have to either be registered Republican or Democrat if you want to vote for those candidates. A lot of the candidates on the ballot will be partisan offices. So if you want to vote, let's say county commission, for example, that's a partisan office. I
heard a guy one who's been here a long time, won't name him. He says, like any good Republican, I'm registered as a Democrat for the primary. And then he switches back for the general. Is that legal?
Oh, yeah. People switch parties all the time.
Okay.
I wonder how many, because this comes up every couple of years, like because it is a heavily Republican community, I wonder how many people just kind of like either they feel independent or maybe they feel like they're truly a Democrat, but maybe they don't really care that much, like which party they are registered as. So they might as well register as Republican because that's where more of the candidates are. And it's historically, we usually elect Republicans. I wonder how many people who are registered Republican are only sort of that way.
Well, I have no idea. That's a good question, Brian. We should put a poll in the paper or something.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, all right.
Try to find an answer for that.
All right, what else we got coming? Okay, so the primary. So basically, if you're for the primary, you got to be Republicans only vote for Republicans. If you're registered, Democrats, and if you're independent,
you still get a ballot. I'm not going to say you can't vote. I just want to make sure that if I'm in front of a microphone and I have the opportunity, I don't want someone to show up on election day or during early voting in the primary next year and say, oh my God, I did not know that this was a closed primary state, because that does happen. And it's really unfortunate because they were really looking forward to voting a certain way and getting the ballot that they expected. And it doesn't happen if you're not registered with the party. So just keep that in mind. I mean, of course, if you're registered with no party, you still get to vote nonpartisan races, school board, and everything else. So, and the city races are nonpartisan. So that's very important. So don't forget that.
So if you're registered as an NPA, then you would not be able to vote in the county commission race.
That's correct.
Yeah.
In the primary.
Right. In the primary. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when's that?
Next year, it'll be August 18th. So we'll start early voting early August. Ballots will go out in July. So it's going to be here before we know it.
Is 18th early?
No, it's pretty standard. Yeah, it's usually the 20th, between the 18th and 23rd usually.
What's the deadline for filing to run for office?
So that will be in June. I believe it's the 12th of June next year, mid-June next year, to run for office.
So if somebody's thinking about it, they have the option to either get thousands of signatures or pay
the qualifying fee, yeah.
Which could be a few $1,000s depending on the race.
Right, it's a percentage of the salary for that office. So really, depending on what you want to run for, it could be a couple thousand or much more.
All right. So if somebody wants to run for Palm Coast City Council, you have to live in the district.
Yeah, you have to live within the city.
Is that really a good thing, Teresa? What do you think? What's your personal opinion on? Should you have to live in the? It seems kind of old-fashioned that would be the case, since that was like your neighborhood. You would know all your neighbors, and that's who you'd represent. But today, it just seems like it's kind of gone beyond that. What's your take on it?
No, I think it is a good idea because it makes sure we're not kind of stacking the deck in one area, and it also, I think, when I drive through my district, in other words, when I drive off on my street and I go down certain ways to get to where I'm going, I have to pass through, stoplights where there could be obstructions, or I have to go down roads where there could be trash. I have to look at things that might be overgrown, or you see issues in your district that you can put a call into staff and say, hey, I see XYZ issue, and so this needs to be resolved. So I think it's good that you're around the things that you govern, and also the people that you govern. I go to Publix and I run into residents all the time. I literally cannot go to Publix without running into somebody in my district, which is great because I believe that you should see the faces of the people that you affect with your policy making.
No, that's a good point. It's kind of like the Electoral College in a way, where it diversifies. So if everybody that was on the Palm Coast City Council lived out toward the beach in the C section or whatever, then that wouldn't be fair to everybody else. So no, okay.
You think about how it impact our current beach nourishment plan tax situation, if everybody lived in the hammock or on Flagler Beach, or if everyone lived all on the west side, you know.
All right. Well, you changed my mind. Okay, I'm off of that one. All right.
Winning.
Ding. All right, what else we got here, Katie? So we have the primary. Now, is there going to be we're working on the charter amendment that we're trying to get that together for Palm Coast for the general election, right, in November?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there will be other issues and.
Yeah, there's no telling what could be on the November ballot. I mean, really, our legislature puts things on the ballot. The county wants to put something on the ballot. City's going to have their own charter amendments. I'm just glad that, you guys have moved the schedule forward for that because, I mean, you really should be working from the deadline backwards. I mean, that's how we do elections, right? So you have plenty of time. Let's not waste it so that we don't get into the situation where we're close to the election. It's like, oh, no, what's your last deadline? I don't really want to do that again if we can avoid it.
So and we did. We voted to accelerate that schedule because I agree. It's super important that we really cross every T and dot every I before we hand it off to your office.
So in the city charter, which there's been a lot of discussion about, had a lot of controversy about interpretation of vacancies and things with Kathy Hyder's seat. So does there have to be, I mean, if the charter review committee comes back with a lot of changes and the city council agrees that, these should all go on the ballot, does every little change have to be a separate amendment? I mean, what if there's so many that it's could it be here's the new charter, accept it all or accept none of it? Or at what level do you have to have each little change has to be its own separate vote as an amendment?
I think that's a good question. So, I mean, if there was, let's say there was 30 different amendments, which is, and my staff is listening to this, and I think they're probably going to actually throw up right now. But let's just say, there were a lot, and we had to try to fit it all on the ballot. That could be a problem. I mean, there should be a reasonable number. And I've seen before, if you remember, well, we can get into specifics if you really want, but it really depends on what else is going to be on the ballot. 'Cause you got to remember the Palm Coast amendments are last; they'll go at the very end. So, that could be a space issue. So, if you remember the Constitutional Review Commission, so back in 2018, there were 13 amendments on the ballot, and they kind of combined some things. I remember one was offshore drilling and indoor vaping.
Yeah,
were the same amendment. So if you liked one, you didn't like the other. And then there's the issue of what does yes mean and what does no mean. So my advice to the council as you're going through this process is be very sure that the language is clear, that people know what yes is and people know what no would mean, what the impact of that is. Because, we get voters that call our office and we shouldn't be having to, well, first of all, we can't, but we shouldn't be even asked to translate what's on the ballot. So it should be very clear going forward.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah.
So, but you could have usually the ballot is sometimes front and back on 2 pages.
Let's not do 2 pages. That's really
how are you going to avoid less than 2? How are you going to avoid 2 pages with potentially a lot of amendments?
Well,
to the charter?
let AI edit all the lawyers speak.
No. Let's stop. Let's stop right there. There's no AI in elections. Okay, let me be clear. I'm very anti-AI. You didn't ask me earlier.
Why are you anti-AI?
Okay.
Katie?
Yeah. Why?
Go ahead.
Well, it has no place in elections, honestly. I mean, we work with paper ballots. There should be no. You're talking about cybersecurity and the issues and mitigating risks, so you don't want to introduce a risk, right? I mean, also I watched Terminator and I saw how it ended.
Oh.
So I'm kind of old school.
Okay, that's a good reason.
Yes.
All right, well, so if it comes up with the charter amendment and the committee and everything, and they amend it to change the structure of Palm Coast to where it would be a strong mayor government, would that be a possibility?
Not if I have any say over it. I don't think that we have a very, I would say, diplomatic board that is supposed to work together and really deliberate these issues. And there's no power should ever be in one person that way. And I think a lot of people have to think about, I may like right now who's in office, but what happens when the guy that I don't like or the girl that I don't like is not in that seat? What happens then? The pendulum always swings to the other side at some point. So I will, if that comes up, I will be advocating very strongly against a strong mayor system.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So the city charter, the charter review committee would then propose amendments potentially that the city council would have to vote whether they would be submitted to be on the ballot. right? So is that how the process would work?
Yeah. So essentially, the committee will make suggestions to us, and then we as council have to vote on what we will end up putting on the ballot. So conceptually, we have to agree that there should be XYZ amendments, and then we talk about the language, and that's where I think really the
That
hard
should be
work.
simple enough.
Yeah, no. That's where the hard work is going to come in, because it is so important that they be very transparent and very clear. And we saw some issues with the proposed amendment last year.
Oh,
last
didn't
election.
we? Yes, we did.
So, so we don't want to do that again.
No, please no.
We want to make things very, very easy for the voters to understand.
All right, to the person that texted in, does it make sense for Flagler County and Palm Coast to merge their governments like Jacksonville, Duval County? That would be we're almost out of time. So that would be but thank you for texting that in. Also, we had a few other ones, but we'll push the number a little bit more. I want to get those into it. But I want to talk real quickly here about, so we're all set. You're good. You're staffed. You got all the budget you need, Katie, to run. You're not up for re-election?
Not currently up for re-election, but we do need more space. So we're working on a renovation project in the office to expand our early voting area, the room itself. We've run out of space in the office. We don't even have panels
what do you need
left
more
in the electrical
space for? Well, you don't have filing cabinets, do you?
No, we do not have filing cabinets,
Okay.
David.
All
But we do have people and equipment. And so I'll have to move my
That's a good question.
filing cabinet.
Well,
Come
she's
on.
not for AI.
Sounds
No.
like a lot of.
We have gone paperless years ago. Thank you very much.
All right.
Anyway, we have run out of space, and it's an issue. We're kind of boxed in, and we need to expand. So I'm working with county administration, finally moving forward. I've asked for more space since 2021 and have been ignored. So I'm very happy to be finally moving forward on that issue.
All right. You've been
And I got to shout
ignored?
out. Yes, of course I've been ignored. I run elections.
Who ignored you?
The previous administrator with the county. I sent them, the request, never got a response to the email. I requested a meeting, never got a phone call back. So it was like, your project's unfunded. Sorry, we're not doing that.
Well, obviously the administrator doesn't have to run for office.
That's true.
Or they would respond to you.
Perhaps.
All right, here, real quick here, I do want to get some sound by them because, Teresa, you brought up at the last meeting the importance of an economic development. We'll do some more shows on this, but you said the workforce development comes into affordable workforce housing. And, we have business. Everybody's like, we need more business there. We need more industry. We need more. But people aren't going to come here if we don't have a workforce that can work at those places that are skilled and trained for it or whatever. Right now, are we deficient in a workforce, and why?
I don't think we're deficient in a workforce. I think we are deficient in the workforce training and the workforce development, like I said, from the dais. So there is, I think, a misconception that improving your workforce means bringing more people in. That's not what it means necessarily. It means taking the workforce that's currently here and training them, developing them, educating them, and then bringing in industry that will feed into that. So that's why I said it takes a coalition, and I'm hoping that we can form a coalition that involves the chamber, the school district, Daytona State College, some of our large stakeholders like Advent Health, some of our larger employers, because we have a higher unemployment rate in the county of Flagler than the average statewide unemployment rate. That means we are not doing with our workforce what we should be doing in the form of development and training. We're not educating them the right way and we're not bringing in the right employers. So when we see employers that are looking in all these different, economic development magazines, and they're looking, where am I going to put my flag and where am I going to really grow my business? We want to make Flagler County attractive. I'm really encouraged by the formulation of the IDA at the county level. I look forward, hopefully, if I'm elected to that seat, to working with them.
IDA,
the Industrial Development Agency, I think. Authority, sorry. Industrial Development Authority. Really looking forward to working with them and hearing their ideas. And I've already met with a few of them because there's a lot of really smart minds in that group, and really using their contacts and their resources as well to bring the right type of economic development into the county. So it's going to be a joint effort. Really hoping that we can get this coalition together, because I don't want to see us fall into this trap of we just have to flood the county with more people. No, that's not the solution. The solution is training and bringing in the right industry for the people that we have. Let's employ the people that we have, the students that are coming out of our schools. Let's give them skills to be successful in our county.
Okay. All right. Okay. Very good explanation. There wasn't a lot of explanation to it at the council meeting, but I could tell it was a priority of yours.
Yes, I feel very passionately about it. And I have really, really pushed economic development on the city council level. We actually this year are finally putting in over $1 million worth of economic incentives to really drive business here to the county. And I think that that's going to be a really positive thing. So bringing in the right industry, encouraging them to choose our county.
Well, we kind of have an unscientific kind of litmus test on how
that's what Free for All Friday is all about.
I know. You can't
unscientific as possible.
But we deal with a lot, just like you do. We deal with a lot. We have everything from automotive and real estate and healthcare and all that. And overall, people say, "What's the economy doing in Flagler County?" I think it's okay. Nobody's killing it, but nobody is doing great either. And there's a lot of anticipation for fourth quarter for things to get better here in Flagler County. That's what I'm hearing from the streets. What's your take on that, Brian?
I also think, there's a lot of kind of middle. I don't know how else to describe it, but I think that it seems very challenging to do a targeted workforce development unless we know what skills people have right now that and who's looking for more skills. So I'm sure that that kind of like coalition idea sounds like a really good idea. I kind of wonder like how much businesses that are coming to town, even if it's not a concrete batch plant, how much they look and see like city doesn't want that business, city doesn't want Belvedere's, and I know those come with like a lot of concerns for a lot of people. But I kind of wonder how much that makes it look like, okay, maybe Palm Coast isn't like the most open for business type of place. How do you send that message without saying, okay, anyone who comes, we're going to do whatever you need?
Well, I don't think that we need to have the mindset that anybody that comes, we're going to do what you need, because we should be thought of as a very highly sought out county and city to live, work, and play in. And we are. We're a great place to live, work, and play. And so I think that we need to, I've said this before, the type of industry needs to be on brand for our city and for our county. What does that mean? That means, I think, a lot of healthcare, light industrial, ecotourism, tourism in general, sports tourism. Those are the things that are really good for our city and our county. And by the way, that's how we pay for the beach. If you look at other cities and counties and how they pay for their beach construction, their beach renourishment, maintaining their beaches, it is through tourism dollars. If we can bring in more economic development in the tourism arena, we will figure out how to pay for our beach. So it all coincides with one another.
Do we need more hotels?
I think that we do, but the right type of hotels and in the right spaces. Obviously anytime you're doing development, you need to make sure it's done right. But yeah, I think we do need more hotels.
Hey, right now there's a business expo going on in Palm Coast. Lacey Martin, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
All right, we're talking about the state of business in Flagler County, Palm Coast. You're out there at a business expo. What's going on? What's the temperature?
I am at the Southern Recreation Center here on Belterre. You can come out till 12 o'clock. There's so many amazing businesses showcased inside for PWFC. They're showing all kinds of things. You can come around. You can get flyers from people, giveaways. There's incredible businesses here. So it's a great time. We're here till noon. You can stop by, say hi. The radio's here. We're all here.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, thank you for that report. I actually called you because I wanted to promote your 9/11 event next week, which would be before our next Free for All Friday, and I love you for your dedication to making this thing grow. So go ahead and let's give a plug to the tell us what's going on at Hammock Beach Resort and Lacey Martin and 9/11.
Yeah, so come on out this Thursday, September 11th, for the 24th anniversary of 9/11. We're going to have a memorial. There's a ceremony at 8:15. This is the 5th year this has been going on at the Hammock Beach Golf Resort and Spa. It's an absolutely beautiful tribute. There's going to be a national anthem, bagpipes, moment of silence, student speeches. The schools are heavily involved. We have students participating. It's just so special and truly meaningful to come out. And, some people don't know how to pay their respects, so you can come out and just enjoy the ceremony. You can watch the first responders climb the 110 flights of stairs, and each climber will carry a chip with them with the faces and names of a fallen first responder from 9/11. And once they're completed, they'll place it on an American flag, and they will have then completed the 110 flights of stairs. So we invite the public to come out. There's no cost. We'll be there 8:15. The ceremony starts, and just come on out. 200 Ocean Crest.
And and the firefighters, they wear their gear going up there, right? What does that weigh with all the air tank? I mean, all that kind of stuff. What does that weigh on their backs?
40 pounds that they weigh. A lot of people do wear weighted vests so that they can, be with a first responder. But yeah, 40 pounds, and they go up and down doesn't count. So it's quite a trying event, and it's very powerful.
Well, thank you for starting that, doing it, developing it, and promoting it. That's a really cool thing.
Yeah, no, my pleasure, and I hope to see everybody out there.
All right, very good. Teresa, anything for Lacey or Katie or Brian before we let her go?
Just want to thank you, Lacey, for doing this event and for bringing awareness to this. And it's a good community event, and just really, God bless everybody that participates and all the families that sacrifice every year for our city, our county, and our country.
Yeah, I think it's a real highlight and a tribute to what, to your dedication to it, and most importantly to everybody who is affected by it. And it's something that, like, as a community, as a nation, it's a way that we can kind of all remember and kind of like mourn together, which is what a community is all about. So thanks for helping make that happen.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, Lacey, thanks a lot. Have fun out there. Tell everybody hi.
Thanks. I will. See you soon.
Okay. All right. We got to wrap it up. We're way over time here. But Katie Lenhart, final words of wisdom.
All right.
you.
Final thoughts. I just want to thank my staff. Shout out to everybody, our poll workers, my staff in the office. The 2024 election was wild. 83% turnout. Half the county voted early in 2 weeks. It was a lot. And then our special elections, they were amazing, and they did a great job. So I have a microphone. Just wanted to say hey, and thank you all of our poll workers, and thank you to my staff.
And I hope you get your big executive office you're wanting.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Vice Mayor Teresa Pontieri, words of wisdom.
So I just want to do a shout out to the City of Palm Coast Fire Department. We did the steel beam ceremony for Fire Station 22, where we laid the final steel beam. It was a really cool ceremony. We all got to sign the final steel beam that was put on the building. This is just a landmark event for us, and I'm just super excited. And I have to say, our fire department just does it right. They do so many things in our community every single day that we don't hear about, that there's truly a lot of unspoken heroes in that fire department. And I think it starts with leadership from the top down. So thank you to the fire department. Thank you to City Council for funding that fire department, that new fire station. And it's going to be a really good thing for our community and our residents. So just super excited and want to thank them.
Have you ever had Kyle Berryhill's secret chili recipe?
I have not, unless he's cooked it for the chili cook-off, because I do go to the chili cook-off every year.
Well, he is because, Tucker got beat 3-4 years in a row.
Yes, I know.
And so we're bringing in the heavyweights here.
Bringing the big guns.
We're bringing in the Palm Coast first responders to go up against Staley. Of course, Chief Tucker says that Staley cheats. So he's going to give Berryhill some insight into how to keep him from cheating. But that'll be at the Creekside Festival. Coming up October 4th and 5th. So
that'll be awesome.
Anyway, so Kyle, I'm betting on you, buddy, to make that Firehouse Chili come in and take that big trophy.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Out of Staley's office. So we'll see what happens. I'll probably be in trouble now. Okay.
Yeah,
Brian.
The Observer doesn't take sides in anything, even chili cook-offs. So good luck to everybody. But I want to kind of just quickly mention with Paul Renner coming on, I think whatever you feel about, the politics, I have a lot of respect for his, he has principles and he sticks with them, and he's very innovative and focuses on policy issues. And I think that that's kind of refreshing. And so, whether people agree or disagree with his politics, I think it's great to kind of like have somebody who has a heart for what he's doing. So best of luck to him, and thanks for making our elections run smoothly every 2 years.
Thank you.
All right, football tonight, live on WNZF 94.9 FM and streaming on your cell phone and all that kind of stuff. And so let's cheer on the FPC Bulldogs tonight down in Daytona Beach. Have a good weekend. Be safe.
I hear people say